Shalom, and I'm gonna be. I want to. I want to do a quick video on what I see going on in the news. Seeing as my connection is kind of iffy, I figured that I'll do some recordings and I'll start going back to posting videos and stay off the live for a little bit until my connection gets a little bit better. I might try and do another end time show pretty soon, but there's no guarantees, seeing as my internet is doing very horrible. So I just wanted to talk about these four articles that I brought up, and I was telling people, a while back on my Facebook how one of these days they're going to be making living skin for these robots. And I personally think that this is the image of the beast, explained to us in Revelation 13, verse, I believe it's verse 14. Let me just get it. It's in Revelation 13. I think it's verse 14. Let me just check real quick. But anyway, I was telling people how the image of the beast, if we're made in God's image, if mankind is made in God's image, then it would make a lot of sense that if they want to repeat what God did, or basically actually it's Revelation 13, verse 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, not the beast, but the image. That the image of the beast should both speak and cause as means would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So this image here, if God made us in his image in Genesis chapter 1, 2, and they're trying to make an image of a beast or the image of the beast, it would only make sense that God created us intelligent beings. Well, it would only make sense that they would make an artificial intelligent being. So this is where I wanted to get into. Scientists have developed living skin for robots, and it's quite something. From Taos, or whatever, however you pronounce this city or state, the giant bronze automaton who guarded the princess Europa in ancient Greek myths, to Cylons and Terminators. Now, if you guys ever seen Terminator Judgment Day, you'll know exactly what they're referring to. The idea of artificial humans, right? The idea of artificial humans goes back to what I was saying about if God made us in his image. It only makes sense that if they wanted to create a fake image, they would use artificial intelligence. But anyway, has both fascinated and creeped us out for centuries. Now, we're closer than ever to making a robot look remarkably like a human. With the development of living robot skin, this icky looking substance is water repellent, self-healing, and has a texture just like our own skin, because it's actually made of human skin cells. So this goes into the whole thing about stem cell research. And when I was younger, I was doing passing the buttons out for stem cell research, and all that stuff when I was like 14, 15, and thinking that I was doing something good, and thinking that, hey, these people are trying to help people, but it goes into this. I think living skin is the ultimate solution to give robots the look and touch of living creatures, since it is exactly the same material that covers animals' bodies, said University of Tokyo tissue engineer. I can't pronounce this guy's name, and I'm not gonna slaughter his name. The researchers have successfully coated a three-jointed functioning robot finger with a prototype of its lab-grown skin. And here's a video. I'm not going to play the video. It's a short video where they showing how they did this and stuff. But just for the sake of time, because I got to go out in a minute. The finger looks slightly sweaty. The finger looks slightly sweaty straight out of the culture medium, says this guy. Since the finger is driven by an electric motor, it is also interesting to hear the clicking sounds of the motor in harmony with the finger that looks just like a real one. Previous attempts to graft skin onto robotic surfaces have proved challenging. So, University of Tokyo tissue engineer Mikio Kawai or whatever. I'm not good with other people's names that are foreign. And colleagues took an approach that allowed the skin to mold itself onto the device. It is difficult to cut, glue, or solder the endpoints of skin equivalent without damaging soft, fertile tissue, him and his team explain in their paper. Instead, they dip the robotic structure into a solution of collagen and dermal fibroblast, cells that produce the proteins that form our skin's structural matrix. These are the main parts of skin's connective tissue. They then coated this primer layer with epidermal cells. I'm not going to say that. The main component of our outermost skin layer. Without this extra layer, the material would lack water repellence of the same kind that animals have. In the footage below, the electrostatically charged polystyrene, polystyrene, or whatever, bead sticks the finger without the epidermis, making it harder for the finger to manipulate. So they showing this, how this robotic finger, is basically functioning here. While the gooey material could handle repeated stretching and contracting of the robotic's fingers' movements, it is still much weaker than human skin. The team suggests a greater concentration of collagen in the initial solution, as well as further maturation of the cells may improve this. Remarkably, the artificial skin can also be healed with a collagen bandage, which the living cells take and integrate into their system to help fill the damage. This is it's not that much longer. I could go through the rest of this. While the results are quite amazing, the lab-grown tissue is still very limited. It cannot last long outside its nutrient solution. Just like our skin, it requires a constant supply of water to avoid drying out, but the artificial skin layers lack the capillary component complicated components, of circulatory and sweat gland systems to supply such hydration. Quote, building perfusion channels within and beneath the dermis equivalent to mimic blood vessels to supply water, as well as the integration of sweat glands in the skin equivalent, are important directions for future research. This guy and his colleagues write. They also propose adding nerves and sensors so that lab-made skin can be multi-talented, just like ours, serving as both protection and a sensory organ. We are surprised by how well the skin tissue forms to the robot's surface. But this work is just the first step toward creating robots covered with living skin. The researchers hope making robots appear more human-like will help us relate to and like them more. Kind of goes into that, worshiping the image of the beast. And as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. They want you to get used to these things. They want you to, relate to these things so that you can like them more, so they don't look all scary like they do now. So they can better communicate with us, serving in a medical care and service industry. That is, of course, if we can progress artificial humanoids beyond the uncanny valley. These findings show the potential of a paradigm shift from traditional robotics to the new scheme of biohybrid robotics that leverage the advantages of both living materials and artificial materials. The researchers conclude. Their research was published in Matter. Now, just with that said, this is something that I was telling people about on Facebook. This was probably a few years ago when I was looking at Sophia, the artificial intelligent robot, the first Saudi Arabian citizen, the first artificial intelligent robot that was made a Saudi Arabian citizen, and how they're, how she, I need to go and, probably check and look and see what Sophia has been doing for the past years, because I haven't been really, looking into that stuff like I used to, but I'm going to start back. Last time I left off with her, or it, let's just call it it. The last time I left off with Sophia, the artificial intelligent robot, she wanted to have a family, and there's also other reports, which I'm not going to get into today, but there's other reports that I've seen out on the news where they're trying to make artificial intelligence self-conscious. Okay, I've seen that in the article. But I want to move on next to here, because all this is already told to us that was going to happen in the last days. As we see food shortages, which I'm getting to next, and we see this war, right? We see these wars, rumors of wars, and famines, pestilences, and also earthquake in various places, right? That's what diverse means, in diverse places, various places, right? So I wanted to talk about this because I found this very, very fascinating here, what they say in this article. And I don't really, trust, or I don't take what the news say with let's just say I take what they say with a grain of salt. But there's, other things that, let's look at this real quick. Title of this is World's Nuclear Arsenals on the Rise as Concerns Grow Over China and North Korea. This was just 2 days ago, I believe. This was 2 days ago? Yes, the 15th. This was 2 days ago. I seen this on my news feed. The world's biggest powers might have once pledged to work toward a world without nuclear weapons, but global stockpiles are expected to rise over the coming decade, according to a new report. Quote, there are clear indications that the reductions that have characterized global nuclear arsenals since the end of the Cold War has ended. The Stockholm International Peace Research Institution, or SIPRI, said in a report Monday. The report comes amid growing Western concerns over efforts by both China and North Korea to expand their nuclear capabilities. The United States suspects North Korea is preparing to conduct its seventh nuclear test imminently, while China's defense minister, Fang He, I know I butchered his name, told the Shangri-La Dialogue Summit at the weekend that his country had made impressive progress in developing new nuclear weapons. And this is talking about hypersonic weapons and stuff that could pass by missile defenses and everything like that. I'm not going to read this whole thing because, as you see, it is a pretty long article here going into all this. But this part right here is, where is it? That part, and where is this? So basically, I'm just going to paraphrase. So they're talking about how since 2021, they've been according to them, since 2006, they've been stockpiling since 2021. SIPRI believes an alarming long-term trend will see both countries increase their stockpiles and develop more powerful weapons. They talk about how North Korea is trying to basically build up their arsenal here. They're talking about the 2021 tests that he did. Says that he has enough fissile material to produce up to 55 warheads. That's what they think. And then they're talking about each country nuclear arsenal here. I don't know why I didn't mean to click that. But this is where they're talking about this part. However, Russia's subsequent invasion of Ukraine has raised concerns that nuclear weapons could be used outside a testing situation for the first time since the U.S. bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. Since the start of the war, Russia has repeatedly reminded the world of its nuclear strength in oblique references apparently aimed at dissuading Western countries from greater intervention. CIA Director William Burns has also warned Russia may use tactical nuclear weapons in Ukraine. So this is the narrative that they're going to be spinning, because this is all about wars and rumors of wars and stuff like that, right? Now many nations, even those without nuclear arms, are rethinking their calculations. Japan and United States and South Korea have recently vowed to strengthen their shared nuclear deterrence strategy. So it says after these guys at the dialogue, Japanese Defense Minister Nobuo Kishi made unusually strong comments directed at North Korea and China. Quote, the world has become even more uncertain, he told Asia's premier defense summit. Japan is surrounded by actors that poses or are developing nuclear weapons and that openly ignore rules. So then they go into all this about the concerns and, his testing site and eyes on Beijing. And they're talking about all this, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to read this last part. Quote, we developed nuclear capabilities to protect the hard work of the Chinese people and protect our people from the scourge of nuclear warfare, he said. Wells' comments came after remarks of the United States Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, who told the same conference that China was engaging to coercive, aggressive, and dangerous actions to threaten to undermine security, stability, and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific. And this right here, I believe, is that for when they shall say peace and safety, sudden destruction shall come upon them like travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So it's going to be something that they're going to, it's something a brewing, something about to go down. Now, moving on here to the food shortage, because I was also telling people that people need to start getting some seeds and start planting their food and all this good stuff. But I don't think that's going to be happening the way things are going. So it says global food prices are soaring. Rice could be next. And this also ties in with Revelation when Christ breaks that second seal. Actually, the second seal is the war. So yeah, this ties in with Revelation. Christ breaks the second seal. That horse that rides, the red horse, is war. Then Christ breaks the third seal. The black horse rides. And that's when the food prices soar. And I'm not saying it's happening now. And I'm not saying anything, basically. I'm just saying, just to be alert of what's really going on, right? And we're already warned in the Bible what's going to happen, right? And I think it's very literal. So it says food prices have been on the rise in the first past few months, and rice, a staple food in much of Asia, could be next, industry watchers said. The prices of many foods, ranging from wheat and other grains to meat and oils, have shot up. That's been driven by a slew of factors, including the rising cost of fertilizer and energy in the past year, as well as the Russia-Ukraine war. So this is what remember, the first horse before the food shortage or famine or whatever is the war. But they're trying to say that, it's due to the Russian-Ukraine war. We know that here in America, you could grow rice, you could grow a number of things here, right? But they say that most of the stuff comes from over there. And also, as Biden said that in that summit, that they're going to do everything in their power to, I don't want to get his words wrong, but he was basically saying that there was going to be food shortages, that they were going to be focused on food shortages. And when I find that video where he's talking about that, let me see if I can bring that up real quick. Let me see if I can bring that up. Let me just see. So here you see, and Biden blames Russia's war in Ukraine on food supply, and it's not what is going on. So let's see if we can get this video right here. Let's see if this video will play. Let's see. Fair use.
Today's world is difficult to recognize. Pandemic, supply.
With regard to food shortage, yes, we did talk about food shortages. And it's going to be real. The price of these sanctions is not just imposed upon Russia. It's imposed upon an awful lot of countries as well, including European countries and our country as well.
So right here, he just said that these sanctions, now you know what sanctions are. Sanctions are used to basically stop a country from, doing business or producing certain things and being involved in trade and whatnot. So he said it's not only being it's not only being directed toward Russia, but other European countries in our country as well. Let me play that back so you guys can hear that real clear. And this is where he says that they're going to be working toward, these are the words of his own mouth, they're going to be working toward furthering the food shortages. Listen.
It's not just imposed upon Russia. It's imposed upon an awful lot of countries as well, including European countries and our country as well. And because both Russia and Ukraine have been the breadbasket of Europe in terms of wheat, for example, just to give one example. But we had a long discussion in the G7 with both the United States, which is a significant, the third largest producer of wheat in the world, as well as Canada, which is also a major producer. And we both talked about how we could increase and disseminate more rapidly food shortages.
So there he says it out of his own mouth, how we can increase and disseminate more rapid food shortages. I'm going to play that again for y'all to hear it. So you ain't saying that I'm just adding anything to this guy's words here. Listen again. 45 seconds. Let's go.
Is also a major producer. And we both talked about how we could increase and disseminate more rapidly food shortages. And in addition to that, we talked about urging all the European countries and everyone else to end trade restrictions on sending limitations on sending food abroad. And
so there you have out of his own mouth. They're basically furthering the food shortages here, which is why you see stuff like them banning food exports and all that stuff. Food export bans or serious disruptions have included those from India, wheat, Ukraine, wheat, oats, sugar, among others, and Indonesia, palm oil. Rice could be next in line. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization Food Price Index already shows international rice prices creeping up for the fifth straight month to reach a 12-month high, according to the latest May data published last week. To be sure, rice production is still bountiful, experts say, but rising wheat prices and the generally high cost of farming could make rice prices more worth monitoring next. So they're just basically talking about these food shortages and the price, the producing price of each country that produces rice. China being the highest, and all the other ones after, right? Russia's war on Ukraine has driven up wheat prices, although Biden in that video said that the United States is the second largest wheat producer. Both countries are major exporters of wheat, and Russia's invasion has disrupted farming and blocked grain exports from the country. Wheat prices have soared more than 50% since a year ago. But doesn't also the rise in fertilizers and all this other stuff and let me see here. Isn't this a part don't this part right here plays into these food shortages as well? So you see these up here, right? It says government isn't paying farmers to destroy their crops. Another one. No, the government isn't paying farmers to destroy their crops. Right? The government, it says, is the government really paying farmers to destroy crops? Is the US government paying farmers to destroy crops? And they say it's false. But when you go down here to the counter.org, the Biden administration will pay farmers more money. Let's see. Biden administration, I don't know why that popped up. The Biden administration will pay farmers more money not to farm. Again, the Biden administration will pay farmers more money not to farm. Right? So if there's nobody farming, then wouldn't that play a part in this whole food shortage that's going to be going on? And I don't know why these pop-ups keep coming up. Just pointing that out, right? I think that would contribute to food shortages if you're paying farmers not to farm. And he announced it, and I'll find the video where he said it out of his own mouth. I just can't do it now. I got to go in about 24 minutes. So I'm going to try and keep this short. On Monday of last week alone, they jumped 4% after the Russian military destroyed one of Ukraine's largest grain exporting terminals, according to Reuters, citing Ukraine authorities. Thailand and Vietnam, see, they're not even involved in this war, were in talks on a deal to increase price of their rice exports. So why are they increasing prices if we have this supposed war going on and all that stuff, right? Wouldn't they be lowering their prices so they could make more sales, seeing that these two countries are, back and forth, and, they would make a killing if they lowered their prices, right? And they opened up their markets and people would start buying more rice from them. But again, I just played the video. According to Reuters report citing a Thai government official late May, 4 exporters told Reuters that rice traders have been buying more Indian rice in the last 2 weeks, according to a June 6 report. Oh, let me get the timestamp for this. This was June 12th, 3 days ago, right? June 12th. So I'm going to read, where is that part? Are price hikes preferable? I'm not going to read that because, they get into that. I'm definitely not going to touch this one here because, we can't talk about certain things like that. So, yeah, I think it's safe. I don't see any buzzwords in here. So, way above pre-levels. You guys see that highlighted. I'm not going to, go down that road. The UN's food price index shows prices are now 75% above the pre-levels, said Frederique Frederique Courier, Managing Director and Head of Investment Strategy for RBC Wealth Management. P-related labor shortages and the Russian invasion of Ukraine have aggravated the situation by both curtailing food supply and pushing up energy prices even further, she wrote in a June report. About a third of food production costs are energy related, Carrier said. Fertilizer in particular is very energy intensive to produce, and prices have soared since last year. So, again, when I said that raising the price of fertilizer would play a part in it. But here's another food shortage warning here. And this is time-stamped. Let's see what the timestamp is. I don't think this article here has a timestamp. But this is from Finbold, Finance in Bold. Let me see if I can find a timestamp for this one. But this is going into something else that the Bible talks about, right? Talking about them casting their money in the streets, basically paraphrasing, casting their money in the streets because the money becomes worthless. Or Kyo, I'm not gonna butcher this guy's name, warns of food crisis, says time to invest in tuna fish cans as you cannot eat Bitcoin or gold. So everybody out here investing their money, and then this is mainly talking about the cryptocurrency market and what's been going on with that and how the stocks are falling, right? And he's basically saying, invest in food, which is what I've been telling people to do for a while. Go and get some, go and get some food and get your seeds and start learning how to farm on your own. Learn how to grow your own food instead of going in the grocery store and buying the food out the grocery store, because it's not going to be around for long. But it says here, as the cryptocurrency market is suffering dramatic drops in value, leaving industry experts and investors unsure about where it's going and where to make an investment, one prominent investor is warning of a crisis unfolding elsewhere. Indeed, the author of the personal finance book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name, Robert, let's just call him Robert, took to Twitter on June 13th, that's 2 days ago, to share his thoughts on the current global inflation situation, warning of potential food shortages and the downside of focusing investments on specific areas only. Specifically, the outspoken financial guru hinted that inflation is about to intensify, which will affect food supplies, and that people should focus on investing in cans of tuna and baked beans instead of gold, silver, and Bitcoin, he tweeted. And then it says here, catastrophe on the horizon, ? It is worth noting that this guy, I can't pronounce his name, I'm not going to butcher it, has been warning of an incoming catastrophe for some time now. In late May, Finbold reported on him saying that the world is facing the danger of another world war. Let me read that again for you guys that probably didn't hear it right. In late May, that was last month, Finbold reported on him saying that the world was facing the danger of another world war. At the same time, he advised everyone to save gold, silver, Bitcoin, food, guns, and bullets. Gee, it sounds like sounds like sounds like something that the Bible warned about, right? Just sounds like something the Bible warned about. Rich Dad had also expressed his wish to purchase Bitcoin during a dip in mid-May, stressing that crashes are best time to get rich. At the time, he said that he was waiting for Bitcoin to drop to $17,000. If he hasn't changed his mind in the meantime, considering the most recent statements, he could get his chance. At press time, Bitcoin continued its bearish trend and was trading at $24,817, a 9.95% drop on the day and a 20.78% decline across the previous week, marking an 18-month low for the flagship digital assets. And that's where that ends. Okay. So these are the things that they're all this is leading up to something. This is all leading up to something. Right? And I tell people, I've been telling people, get ready. So they're warning of another world war. They're advising people to save gold, silver, Bitcoin, food, guns, and bullets. They're saying that specifically the outspoken financial guru hinted that inflation is about to intensify, which will affect food supplies, and that people should be focused on investing in cans of tuna and baked beans instead of gold, silver, and Bitcoin. So this is going to be ramped up over the next coming months. And on top of that, there's other stuff going on. There's some more stuff that's going on that I'm not really going to get into because people are going to be like, oh, this guy's going full-blown conspiracy. But like the one guy said this, and I'm going to say it. Let me see if I can find this video. Oh, no, they ain't got it on here. Anyway, this one guy said, we thought these conspiracy people were nuts, but comes to find out what they were saying was right. But, I've been through those cards and, how everything is playing out. Let me just see if they got a card for this. Let's see something real quick before I go. Let's see if they got a card for this. 'Cause I'm pretty sure they got a card for this. The World Hunger card kind of sounds like food shortage to me. They already played this card. They already had that card. Here you go. energy crisis, world hunger and energy crisis. This is where I said you guys are going to, be like, oh, this guy is full-blown conspiracy theorist. No. Right. And you hear this also right here. Let me just do something real quick. Drop some stuff on my, what's his name? Okay. But here you have it. This right here, you see this card right here? This is what those, well, let's just say, this is what they're going to start pushing right here. Right here, this, gun control, right? So you guys can go through these cards and you can actually see what has already been playing out here. Looks familiar? Looks familiar? But, you guys will say, look, this guy's a conspiracy theorist. We can't listen to him. Well, the 1990s, and I'm not going to read that because, So, let's just take a look. This card says, increasingly desperate populations are hunting whales, setting up factory farms, and strip mining for scarce resources. The environment is falling apart, and nobody has time to worry about it. Well, it kind of sounds like what's going on right now, right? But again, can't make this stuff up. Everything ain't a conspiracy. But, everybody will believe what they want to believe. Me personally, if I see something like that, and I'm like, hey, these guys, they actually have a card for this too, right here. They got a card for this, right? They do have a card for this. And I'll bring this last thing up. Right? Bring this last thing up. Here you go. Here you go. Another world war. Now you see this card here, what it says. Another world war. I mean, it's going to be some point in time somebody's going to say, you know what, this is kind of making sense. Why do they have this card from the 1990s, 1980s? And then we see this stuff. I don't think these people in the news are trolling. But again, I got to get out of here. I got to go on and do these deliveries. But all I got to say is eyes open, people. No one knows the day or the hour. And I think that we should be well aware of what season, what time we're in, and the things that are going on, because we were forewarned in the Bible. Shalom, and I hope everybody has a blessed day. And remember, read your Bible. Pray that the Holy Spirit reveals to you the truth of the Bible. Because as we see in Scripture, the Holy Spirit will guide you into all truth. The Holy Spirit. Shalom.